Yo, what's up? All right, here we go. So let's finish up 7.6. So we're going to be asked to simplify the following and place your answer in standard form. So it's just like the last page of the Chapter 7 book. And don't worry, I am preparing Chapter 8's notes. I'm going to get that out. Fortunately, I'm not going to have copies for you, but there will be digital copies. So you guys can print them out or follow along. I recommend printing them out, but I can't enforce that. So let's look at number 1 here. Number 1 says 5 divided by I. And just like radicals, we don't like this I in the denominator, so we have to rationalize it. So basically, it just means I'm going to multiply the bottom by I. So if I multiply the bottom by I, I'm going to multiply the top by I. So I'm just multiplying by I over I. So this just becomes 5I over I squared. Well, I squared we know is right over here is -1. So this is just 5I divided by -1, which is just -5I. Now, let's go and look at number 2. So number 2, very similar, except we don't have just an I on bottom. We have 4 minus I. So we have to multiply by the conjugate, which is 4 plus I over 4 plus I. All right, and here we're going to distribute the 7 inside, so it's going to give me 28 plus 7I. And on bottom, this is more complicated. So I'm going to erase this. Okay, just make a note of that. And I'm going to show you how to do 4 minus I times 4 plus I. We did that in like 7, 4, something like that. So we have 4 minus I times 4 plus I. So we're going to distribute that. That gives me 16. Then this gives me plus 4I. This is going to give me minus 4I. And that is going to give me negative I squared. This part always tricks me up just because I always forget. I want to write like it's a -1, but sometimes it's in, -1. So just pay attention to that when you're doing these. Okay, in the center, 4I minus 4I, they cancel. So we're left with 16 minus, and as I said, that's a -1. So that's going to be 17. Now, going back to what we had, okay. So now that we have a 17 on the bottom, so we have 28 plus 7I, and that's going to be over 17, just putting the top and the bottom together. Okay. Question number 3. Question number 3 says 5 plus 3I over 1 minus 2I. So I'm going to multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. So that's 1 plus 2I. And it's going to be over 1 plus 2I. So now I'm going to put these in parentheses to make my life a little bit easier. Okay. So I'm going to try and do this all on one whiteboard here. So on top, we're going to have 5 plus 10I plus 3I plus 6I squared. Okay, I'm not trying to cut any corners, that's why I'm writing everything out for you. On bottom, I'll write that in red so you guys can see that. I have 1 plus 2I. Now I'm going to have minus 2I, and that's going to be minus 4I squared. Again, I'm trying to write everything out. We'll have times to talk about things through Zoom or whatnot, or you can always reach out to me because I know this is starting to get a little bit more complicated. But then again, we're at the end of the chapter. So on top, okay, On top, we're going to have 5 plus 13i plus 6i squared. And on bottom, we're going to have 1 these cancel, minus 4i squared. So I'll let you guys get all that. Now, I did run out of room. I'm not trying to cram it in down here. So let's erase this. Just give me some room at the top. Erase that. Okay, so here we go. So we have I squared, that's going to be negative 1. And I squared, that's going to be negative 1. So I have 5 plus 13i plus 6 times negative 1 over 1 minus 4 times negative 1. So that's going to be negative 6. So 5 minus 6 is negative 1. Okay? Plus 13i. And again, I'm working this way. All right? Because I didn't want to erase where we left off. Down here, that's going to be 4 minus negative 4, and that's going to be 5. So I got negative 1 plus 13i divided by 5. Okay? All right, and I think that one's actually missing from my answer key, so sorry about that. Okay. Now we have number 4. That's 2 minus 7i over 1 plus I. So I'm going to multiply this by 1 minus I over 1 minus I. Put those parentheses in there to help you guys out. Now, on top, I'll do that in blue for you. So 2 minus 2i minus 7i plus 7i squared. On bottom, we have 1 minus 1i plus 1i minus I squared. So here I'm going to have 2 minus 9i. I is negative 1, or I squared is negative 1, so this is going to be negative 1 times 7, so that's going to be negative 7 over. These cancel. 1 minus negative 1. So that gives me, okay, and I'm going to fit this in right here. 2 minus 7 is negative 5 minus 9i. On bottom, negative, negative, that's a positive, so that's 2. So I have negative 5 minus 9i divided by 2. Last question here, it says, show that x equals 2 plus I. Okay, so let me erase this. So it says, show that x equals 2 plus I is the solution for the equation x squared minus 4x plus 5. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take that and plug it in for the x's here. So I'm going to have 2 plus I squared. Well, I'm going to use a different color, so I'm going to put, that's red, so I'm going to put it in as red. All right. So I'm checking to see if this is true. So 2 plus I squared, all right. I'll do that off to the side here. So 2 times 2 is 4. Okay. Sorry about the glare there, so I'll try and take it slow. 2 times I is 2I. I times 2 is 2I. And I times I is I squared. So this is going to be 4 plus 4I minus 1. So that's going to be 3 plus 4I. So I'm going to write this is 3 plus 4I. Here I'm going to distribute. So it's going to be minus 8 minus 4I. Plus 5 equals 0. Now I have plus 4I minus 4I. They cancel. 3 minus 8 is negative 5. So I have negative 5 plus 5, and that's 0. So I just showed it. That's the work that goes into it. I'm probably going to give you maybe 1-2 questions on web assignment for this. It's going to be entitled Chapter 7, Section 6, Part 4, I believe we're up to. So that's that. All right, good luck. Reach out to me if you have any questions.